we are getting set for our summer 2023 session, which will be screening on July 16th at the beautiful historic Clinton Street Theater. And today I'm talking with one of our participating filmmakers. Peter Coward is the writer-director of the film Unread. Peter, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So Unread is it's a great film, and it's very interesting, and there's a lot going on. I want to know what inspired you to make this.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. First of all, it's been a really humbling. It's been a humbling experience even to get accepted, and so thank you for those kind words.
Absolutely.
I'm currently I'm finishing out my grad school time at the Vermont College of Fine Arts. So I'm
Okay.
getting my master's in filmmaking, and my focus has ended up kind of being just in writing and directing and in of narrating of narrative filmmaking. So really, the way that I've structured that has been sit down, give myself a couple months to write a script. Um, try to limit it to just sort of like what I think is feasible. I've never really had a budget. Unread was probably, I think I calculated like $125.
Oh wow.
So, which of course was just basically crafty
Right.
and a lunch run. But so really starting there and being like, okay, what do I have to work with, and I don't know, what's an interesting way to tell a story with sort of a limited um, I don't know, set of equipment and people. And so I think on that note, when it comes to writing, I'm already interested in sort of like technology, the where we're at with technology, where we were just like 20 years ago, which is, I grew up in the 90s, so like I remember sort of like when PCs really became a household item.
Oh, totally.
And so I don't know, I just like find all of that fascinating, and doing less with more. And so there actually, this story was inspired by a moment when I was at a friend's house in Portland, and he had picked up this Macintosh from a Goodwill, and it actually ended. I got a hold of him like 4 years later and asked if I could use the Mac for a prop.
Okay, yeah.
So in that moment, we were sort of just like, he was going to use it to make a fish tank actually, but before he did that, we were just like booted it up, and we're like, oh my god, it works. And then as soon as you like open it, like AOL pops up, and there's all these emails from like
Wow.
1994 or something, and like you really got this inside look to like what was happening in this person's life at that moment.
Right.
And something sort of just like stuck with me, like that was it, that was as far as that sort of situation went. But something stuck with me that like felt odd about that, just because like this was so early in sort of like online communication. And so I kind of took that idea that I thought was sort of interesting and blended it with more of what was going on in my life at that time, which was more dealing with like commitment and thinking about um, you know marriage and settling down for the rest of my life,
Totally.
and like, what that looks like. And I think just between all those things, like that interest in like technology and sort of like social media and how everything is implanted into a timeline that you can always access. There's no more sort of like internal truths that only you know.
Right.
And combined all those things together, and I just sort of came up with that story. And it changed a lot. It started a little more elaborate, and I ended up sort of cutting it down to what I thought was the most minimal version of the story.
Well, there's a lot going on there. One, I'm surprised that it's so small budget because there's a lot of locations and it feels fairly big scale. It's a longer short or on the longer end of the micro budget stuff. Um, yeah, but it is interesting. I mean, presumably the main character has been away for a while and is coming out kind of unaware. what the current technological landscape is looking like. But funny enough, he finds that sort of airing out, of someone's communications through an older medium.
Right.
Uh, I'm wondering, this might be a little it's abstract, but I'm kind of curious if through this you came to any of your own conclusions, through this exploration about technology and I don't know what it really means. Obviously, it's a necessity, and I don't know if does that pique any thoughts for you?
Certainly. I mean, I think to answer sort of the original, the broad form of that question,
Yeah,
I always sort of like in writing, sort of like processing whatever it is that I'm, going through or what made me think of that. So I certainly came to sort of realizations about myself throughout the process. And a lot of those were also just more, like emotionally and like thinking
totally.
about sort of what my like how do I relate to this character and what is it that I'm trying to say about them, and what does that mean about myself. But
Right.
you know um the technological aspect is interesting. I think for me, I think I always land on sort of like the more I pull away from technology, I think the better I feel.
Oh, okay.
And I'm always trying to like, even though as things continue to progress more and more, in that way, I think I sort of like am trying every day to like find a way to like detach myself from that more and more.
Okay.
And so I think in this story, in a lot of ways, like the relationship that was happening via internet,
Hmm.
there ended up being, I was kind of trying to play on this idea of like this was like the old school, like the original like ghosting where
Right. You took off your computer and you
right.
you walk away.
Yeah, which you can't do today,
Right.
but what you can do is like, people, they do that all the time in online relationships and stuff. And it's something we're sort of getting used to, which again was like I think a little harder to do back when you had to like establish friendships and relationships. Um, Now it's a lot more simple to just sort of like log on and meet someone.
Right.
And so I think I was sort of toying with that idea, and I think in a lot of ways, like that online relationship was it was romantic and it was beautiful in some ways, but like there's also these sort of like toxic traits about it, and the like the only sort of like strong relationship that happened in the in the movie is like uh the one that happened in person. And
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I think in a way it's kind of like both the characters sort of put away the computer and went back, got to know each other in a more analog way, and he ends up with a job that doesn't require a computer for
Right.
communication, and it's more just like a, you know an in-person sort of life. And so
Totally.
yeah, I think it's sort of in a lot of ways it's about like stepping back from that and being like we can still survive without that kind of communication.
Well, I love that, and I love how the cornerstone of that comment on, modern technology is all done through the object of this, like, vintage-ass computer that a lot of people won't even recognize at this point.
Right,
Uh,
right.
I'm curious, did you learn anything or come to any new revelations, from the production side of, making this film?
Yeah, absolutely. um Mostly probably pre-production, actually.
Okay.
Writing wise, I think I probably had like four different screenplay ideas, short screenplay ideas before I chose this one, and I think they sort of consecutively got more and more simple every time. Like I'm even amazed at because this was the first short that I've written the screenplay for and actually
Okay.
shot. And I was like amazed when I look back at the first one that I thought I could do. Like it was so elaborate, and so I ended up sort of like honing it down to this, and I still think I look back and I'm like, and I've just since this one finishing this one have started working on another one. and I just when I entered into the next screenplay or started working on it, I was like, uh, just think simple, like um, just really figure out what it is I'm trying to say and try to do that in the most simple way possible. Even, less locations and less, um, you know, try to rely on natural light and just keep it as
Okay,
simple
yeah.
as possible. So for me, as much as I say that, I think that's the hardest part in writing is sort of limiting yourself again from the technology and just focus on like how can what's the most simple way to tell this story. And I'm still learning. My next
Totally.
one was a little more simple, but I learned after shooting that one, like next time, like even less. So
Okay, yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean, there's absolutely a beauty in the constraints and sort of forced simplicity.
yeah.
If things are overcomplicated, too many locations, you get lost in that sort of sauce. On that note, I'm curious, what else are you working on? What is this new script you're working on?
So I actually just finished the production of it, and I'm in post production now. But it's my sort of the second of two shorts that I wanted to produce
Okay.
and write and shoot for the Vermont College of Fine Arts program. And so it is, and it also another sort of learning from the last one was from Unread was I think I'm always getting more and more comfortable diving into the sort of heavier topics or um, more vulnerable concepts.
Okay.
I think, which I really was when I started writing Unread, but this time I'm sort of diving in further, and it's essentially it's a reflection. It's not a like autobiographical, but um, it's a reflection of my experience of when my older sibling died,
Mm.
and it's like a character. I actually ended up sticking with the two main actors from Unread.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
so they came back and are my main characters again, just because I thought they played so well together.
Absolutely.
Um, and so yeah, it's a story about someone who and it sort of touches on a lot of the same elements actually finds a cell phone
Mm.
of his brother's and the moment that he listens to the voicemails that came in after his brother passed away,
Mm.
one of the voicemails being his own, which didn't get to him in time. And
Right.
so that sort of was like that's what sort of sparked the story for me. Um, and again, it's a little more simple. It's about him finding that and being in a really shut off state of mind for quite a while, and then he finally seeks help. And so I tell the story in about 12 minutes, and it's called "Call Me Back," and I'm hoping to submit it to some festivals. Hopefully, this one next year,
Excellent.
probably by the fall.
Well, that sounds fantastic. Very interesting short. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about Unread?
Again, I'm just like super grateful to have been in this festival this so far with the festival circuit that I've had communication with and been in. This has been for sure the most I don't know well organized, and I really appreciate
Well, thank
the
you.
interest in the films and the stuff the promo stuff I've seen come out. So super grateful to be in it, and I can't wait to come down and attend it.
Totally. Well, Peter, I'm very much looking forward to meeting you at the festival, and I'm very excited to screen Unread on July 16th at the
Thank
Oregon Short Film Festival. I think people are going to love it so much.
Awesome. Thank
Thanks
you.
for talking with me. I'll see you then.
Thank you. All right. See you later.
Bye.